Okay, so let's get started. These are the two projects that we'll be making today. As you can see, they're nice, clean, simple, but fun and modern Christmas cards. So as you can see, this one here features some, an ombre effect with some coloured cardstock. And this one here has that gorgeous bauble. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this uses the wonderful velvet specialty cardstock that Stampin' Up have available for Christmas this year. We'll talk about that more in a moment. So this is the bundle. I'm actually using the dies from this bundle, but I wanted to show you the bundle in full. This is the Ornamental Christmas Bundle, and we'll be using a few of these dies to create our fun cards. So, but the stamps, the sentiments that we're using today come from the Pine Tree Trimming stamp set. So, and here is that beautiful velvet cardstock that I was talking to you about just before. As you can see, we have 3 different colors in the pack, and you get 2 of each sheet, so 6 sheets in a pack, and they're 12 by 12. Probably can't see that on camera there, but I just wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see, but it really has a beautiful texture. It's all about, creating, that touch and feel experience when using this product. So, yeah, so it's really cool. We'll also be using some of the two-tone cardstock, which I absolutely love. It kind of is 2 for the price of 1. On one side you have the true Stampin' Up colour. This one's Granny Apple Green. And then on the reverse you get a nice lighter shade that complements. And then we'll be using some Crumb Cake cardstock for our bases. Because we're making 2 cards, it's always easier, as I often say, if you're making 1, it's easy to make 2, right? Because you get 2 card bases out of 1 sheet of cardstock. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So we will start with our card bases, and then we will create the tree card first, and then finish off with our bauble card. And you will see how easy and fun it is to make these 2 cards today. Alrighty, so let's get started. We've got our crumb cake. So I've got 1 full sheet, and then I've got a smaller piece. If you've got a smaller piece, that's okay. You can use up some of your scraps. Otherwise, 2 sheets will be sufficient. So we will bring in our trimmer, and we're going to start with our base first. Then we need a full sheet for that. Now, I am a metric girl, but I will do my best to convert that to imperial as well. But just bear with me if I don't quite get those measurements right. I'm sure you will help me out a little bit here. Okay, so to create our card base, we're going to, whether you're metric or imperial, it doesn't matter really. The process is the same. So whatever your card sheet size is, so for us, metric, it's A4, simply cut in half and then score in half. So the Stampin' Up trimmer has both the cutting blade and scoring blade on the arm, so that makes it nice and easy to to create both of those at once. Okay, so there's our 2 card bases. Now, from our scrap piece, you'll want to make sure that you've got at least 127 millimeters. That's, I think, about 5 inches. And then we'll measure that in a second. And then I've got, you know, the full length to 210 here that I'm going to cut down from. So let's do this. 127, yes, it's 5 inches. And then we want 2 pieces at 85 mil. Now, from an inch point of view, there's 3 inches, that's 3 1/4. It's 2 little lines past that. So I don't know exactly how to read that. As I said, I'm a metric girl, so you might need to help out there. Okay, so 85 mil for our pieces. I will make sure that the tutorial piece is right for you. Okay, so 1 card base, 2 card base, and then we've got our layering pieces. All right, we're going to set those aside for a moment. We're going to go through a couple of other pieces that we need for our card. So I'm going to bring that in here and just pop it up there. So we have some strips of cardstock that we need. This is a piece of that beautiful, it just feels so nice. Okay, velvet cardstock, 20 mil wide there. And then we have got a strip of the red as well. And that's purely to die cut the star for our tree topper. Okay, so the next piece I've got is my 2-tone cardstock. And that's going to form the 2 at the top. So this piece here is 15 mil. Let me see if I can get this one right. It's just over a quarter. Nope, just over a half. Sorry, half an inch. It's 2 little lines past that. It's that same measurement that I needed before that I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure that I will have some of my crafty friends help me out with that one. Okay, so we need a strip of that at 15 mil. Beautiful. And then the last piece that we have is a piece of garden green cardstock. And that is the same measurement as our velvet, which is 20 mil wide or high. And then what we're going to do is trim these 3 down to be the width of our card base. So in metric measurements, that is going to be 105 millimeters. So yes. Okay, so we're going to set this side. We're going to go ahead and trim those up, and then we will come back to start on our top piece. Okay, so we have 1 piece of the velvet green, 1 of garden green, and 2 of our 2-tone cardstock. So we're going to have the lighter side at the top. So that's this that piece there, and then we'll have our granny apple green sitting just second in the line. So we're going to just set those aside for a moment and come in with our layering piece. Now, this one we are going to simply die cut the tree out of the center. And now let's just have a look. Yes, I just die cut that one a little bit lower than center, not by much though. What I want to do is have the tree with the star and the base of the stem. We want that to be centered as much as we can. So the tree itself, I'm going to bring down just like 5 mil. So I'm just going to bring in our die. So that's this one here. And so that would be our center. So I'm just going to go ever so slightly down. And then I'm going to take that over to my die cutting machine and die cut that out. Now, if you were playing along at home as well, hopefully you've done that as well. Okay, so I'm going to set my tree aside for another project. And my die goes back in with my set. And now I've got this little piece here with my die cut tree. So the next thing I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment. Let's see, I'm going to use the Oh Christmas Tree and some cherry cobbler ink. So we're going to ink that up just lightly. The stamp itself is quite fine. So what we don't want to do is push so hard that it inks all the surrounding stamp as well, like the polymer that holds the actual design. We just want to ink up the design. So light tapping. And then stamp just at the bottom of our tree. Now don't rush this part. I find that giving it a little bit of extra time for the ink to transfer to the cardstock, particularly when it's a coloured cardstock as opposed to white, you'll want to give it some time to transfer over, and then you get a nice dark impression. So we'll close that over for now. Alrighty, we'll put that one aside so we don't have something fall on top of it. Okay, so now let's bring in one of our card bases. Okay, can we see our card that we're making here? We've got our strips. Alrighty, I'm going to work with my card flat. So I'm not going to crisp it up at this point just at the minute. So what I'm going to do, if you feel more comfortable folding it and working with it folded, that's okay. You can do that. So what I want to do is have the velvet sitting at the bottom of the tree, and then I want the garden green to sit next, granny apple green next, and the light granny apple green to be at the very top. Now, the two critical ones are the top one and the bottom one. These two can sort of move around and, you know, to even up those spaces in between the layers of cardstock. So what I'm going to do is just focus on these two pieces right now and making sure that we adhere these in place, you know, as close to where we want them as possible. So what I like to do, I've got mine sitting in place now. It's just right of the score line so that I know when I fold my card base, it's not going to go over, but I can always trim that if it does. And then this one, just going to fix this one up. That's going to go there. Now I'm putting a huge amount of pressure on these two pieces, and this is free so that I can pull it out. Now that's keeping these two pieces in place where I would like them. Now, at this point, if you feel more comfortable, by all means, grab a pencil and just make a couple of little light marks here and here. I'll do this too, but it's not something I normally will do. I'm going to put a mark here and here. I know that they will be covered by my layering piece, and this will help line them up if they happen to move. So you can do that. The other way, now, if it's easier for you to let them go and use those 2 pencil marks, by all means do that. The other option, and what I usually do, is tuck it under and just do that. So now I can let that one go and I can fix this side up and focus on this one. Now I've used Stampin' Seal. There's a bit of a knack to getting to use this glue, but once you get it, it's an awesome glue. The other option that you have for adhering is the very trusty Tombow liquid glue. Both of these are very good. For the most part, I do use the Tombow, but sometimes I opt for the seal when, you know, in situations like this where I've only got, I'm working with one hand essentially. So now I'm just going to go back and clean up that side, make sure that side has stuck down. And how are you traveling? Yep, you need a little bit more glue here. Alrighty. So that's my top and bottom pieces in place. Now we can check this by laying this over, and as you can see, I've got green at the top and bottom, which is what I'm looking for. Alrighty, now we're just going to pop our other piece in. So we've got our dark, or our regular colour of granny apple green, and our garden green piece, and they're going to go, we want to try and have those gaps as even as we can make them, but don't stress if it's not 100%. After all, this is handmade and we want it to have that feel about it. So we can just layer them in just like that, and then go ahead and adhere them. There we go. Alrighty, let's fix up these little pieces here. And this one. There we go. Great. And now it's just a matter of popping our layering piece over the top with some dimensionals. Yay. Now, let's bring those in. I like to use my Take Your Pick tool. It just makes things so much easier. Peel these backs off. Oh, I missed that one. Yep, cut them all. Perfect. Alrighty. Pop that over there. Oh, no, wants to stay on my fingers. Don't you find those critters everywhere? Alrighty, so I have got my base, my layering piece, and I'm just going to hover over and make sure that I get the tops and bottoms. There we go. Now I'll go ahead and fold my card base. There we go. And I'm going to crisp that from behind. And I've got a few little pieces sticking out. We could trim those, but I'm not going to worry about them too much. And then the last thing we need to do is just pop our little star on the top. So I'm going to go and die cut this one. Alrighty. Now with this guy, I am going to use a glue dot. And that's purely because it's nice and clean and easy. So I've got them here. I'm just going to push him on to my glue dot and then peel him off. And there's the glue dot sitting on the back there. And then we're just going to sit him on the top there. All right. And that's our first card done. That's pretty cool, huh? Nice. Ooh, nice. Okay, so what we're going to do with this second card is our bauble one. And so we're going to just die cut this one out of the center. Okay, now I've got another little bauble that I can make something with else with, another project. Pop this one back. Okay, our layering piece. Same principle. We're going to stamp the bottom one. The bottom. Let's actually, you know what I'll do? I need to remember to bring this one in. All right, now I'm going to, where is he? There. Our stamp and our cherry cobbler ink again. Okay, let's bring him to here where you can see him. Okay, and we will ink up again our stamp again, just lightly. We want to ink the words on the stamp, not the entire photopolymer surround. And we're going to pop this on at the base of our ornament die. And again, just give it some time. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, now we want to bring in a couple extra pieces. So we've got some red velvet. I just love the feel. You can even hear it. Now I do have a piece of just plain old basic white cardstock. Now I've cut this down to, I know this one, 25 mil, so it's 1 inch. Yay! And now we want it to be, we just want it to be the width of our card here. So that's 85 mil. Okay. Now we want to bring in our green strip again. And I'm going to use exactly the same measurements, which is 20 mil. And so what we're going to do is use this die from the ornament set. And we are going to die cut these circles. And it also gives you lovely stitching detail. So we're just going to die cut. We're just going to put it on and center it and die cut that. Now you'll want a little bit. You want to make sure that you've got enough to reach past the ends of the die. So make sure this leading edge is past it. If you've got, you know, more, that's okay. We can cut it down. But what you want to do is make sure that it goes as at least past the edge of the die cut here. So I've just brought my whole plate in. And I'm going to lift it out Now, as you can see, good, they all stayed in place. So here we've got our little holes here that are just going to sit underneath like that. So what we're going to do is, let's get organized here. All right, so we're going to pop these aside. Now, we're going to first, because this white piece, if we cut that down, it can be 83, it can be 80, as long as that the white sits between the edges of the die and the edges of the cardstock. That's the important thing here. And then what we want to do, we're going to adhere this piece to our white, making sure those holes in our design are in the center, because afterwards we can trim down the green and then stick both those layers beneath our crumb cake layer. So let's just work through this bit. Now I'm going to use some Tombow, and I'm just using little bits here. We don't want too much that it's going to seep out of these holes and cover that beautiful fabric. Let me show you what I've done. Just very light dots there. Hope you can see that. So now what we're going to do is turn this over, get our holes right, and make sure there is even white cardstock above and below the green velvet. Yeah. The beauty about using Tombow liquid glue is it gives you the opportunity to move your cardstock around so that you get it where you want it to go before you push down and really bond that, make the bond between the two layers. So I'm just pressing gently because I just want to make sure I'm not going to squish any glue out. I was careful not to put too much on. So, yeah. There we go. So that's that. We're going to give that a second to dry, and we're going to come in with our red piece and get that in place here. And then, so that's how that's going to work. So we're going to adhere the red to our card base, just in the center. You can use tape for this if you like. I'm just using some Tombow. Just going to make sure that's in the center there. Now I've cut this piece, sorry I forgot to tell you that. I've cut this piece down to, let me get my ruler and we'll measure it for you. 80 millimeters wide by 100 millimeters. So what's that? About 4 inches by 3 and between 3 and 3 1/4 inches. That's that measurement, the really weird one. Anyway, if you're laughing at me, that's okay. You're allowed. Okay, so when we are done, this is going to go over the top just like this. And then that way you're only seeing the red where our die cut is. So we will pop some dimensionals on the back of this and adhere this on. But first, now we want to trim down our green and get our thing in place, our little detail in place. So let's do that and get some snips in here. And we're just going to trim that down. And this one too. Move those off to the side. And now we've got this piece here. And I'm just going to... Now, what we want to do is make sure that our dots are centered. Our dots are centered. That means I need to trim a little bit more down on that edge. And that's okay. That's what we do. I'm just going to get 2 little pieces. Okay. All right. I'll start this again. I'm going to put some tape here. And on this side. Alrighty. Okay. Now, let's find my center again. Okay. Alright, now let's gently lay these down. I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool. Hold these steady and just peel that tape backing off. There we go. There's that one. That'll make this side a bit easier to bring off. Now, I moved that. So let's just wiggle that one down in place. There we go. Nice. All right, now we'll trim this excess bit off. So we will get in under there. Alrighty, good job. Okay, and now that's going to go over like that. All right. Okay, now we need some dimensionals. My favourite. One of, anyway. Isn't everything our favourites? Okay. Alrighty. And now we just want to adhere this on in place over the center. Oh, make sure you stick it straight. If you don't, make it really crooked, like it was meant to be, and then we're all good. Okay, so let's fold our card base in and crisp that up with a bone folder. And then one last thing to do is add a little bling, because we can. And what do I do with it? Oh, it's over here. Okay, grab one of these. I'm going to go one of the larger ones. Okay. And pop that on like that. There we go. These are gorgeous. They're the faceted snowflakes, but they actually don't look like... They're sort of the shape of a snowflake, but they're very star-like, and I like them. So, yes. So, there we go. We have 4 cute little cards using that gorgeous velvet cardstock. So, yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to bringing you another cool little project again soon. I hope you'll join me. Thanks so much.